Hello everyone, my name is Heidi and this is my YouTube channel which I'm going to discuss experiences living with my type 1 diabetes and also competing in running, cycling, swimming, all sorts of sports, how I get through this on a week-to-week basis, how I've done it across the years, and yeah, just being able to share a little bit of advice on how you can achieve these goals with living with this condition. So stay tuned and yeah, let's get onto learning all about my history and how I got where I am today. So when did my type 1 diabetes story begin? Well, I was aged 12 years old and it was in my second year of high school. Also happened in a very traumatic time in my life. My mum passed away a year previous to this and I just got used to my dad meeting another woman, going to high school. Life was all very different and up in the air. And they do say that diabetes can sometimes be caused by added stress or anything in your life. I still don't know to this day, but that's my story with me. And I remember going from being, I was always a slim child. I was never overweight and I was a very active child. But I remember losing so much weight. I was literally skin and bones. And the first that I had was excruciatingly painful, I'm going to describe it. I was so thirsty that even after a drink I'd want another one and another one and another one. The dehydration in my mouth and how dry it was just insane. To this day I've never experienced thirst like it, thank goodness. But yes, that's it's something that happens when your blood sugars are so high, your thirst increases. So yeah, I then went to hospital. I had to learn all about insulin, injecting myself, and then, yeah, how to start living with diabetes, going into, well, being 12 and then going into my teenage years of 13 and onwards. I suppose then comes my story of how I got into sport. So I was quite an active child actually. At school, even after being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, I played hockey. I absolutely loved playing hockey. I loved athletics too. I loved sprinting in the 200 metres and doing the relay and the long jump, weirdly. I remember also loving and competing in, especially at sports day. I was always part of the crew. And dancing and amateur dramatics, I always wanted to be doing active things and keeping on going. But I suppose the thing is, I didn't really get into sport really seriously until I was about 24 years old. So that was when I'd moved to London. So I moved to London when I was 23, and then I came up with the idea when I was 24 that I wanted to run a 10K. I wanted to do this because my niece Millie, she suffers with cystic fibrosis, and I wanted to do something to help raise money and awareness for the cause. And I thought, oh well, I'll train myself to do a 10K. I've never ran that far in my life. Can I do this? And yeah, so I signed myself up for a 10K in London, raced that, and then I got a real big drive for running. I really enjoyed the training. I loved the feeling it gave me. And from then, a year later, I was competing in a half marathon. I did the 2015 race in Silverstone Half Marathon. Did that again for raising money for cystic fibrosis. That was a massive thing again. How will I control my sugars? How will I get around this? Learning so much about my body, being out on your feet for a lot longer than what would be an hour of running. And yeah, that was that. Leading into other bigger things, where I then signed up for my first marathon, which was in 2016, the London Marathon, again, raising money for cystic fibrosis. And that's when the real drug of running really hit me. And my real love for running really gained that with starting to learn the communities and all of the life around running and what it can really give you and what I can achieve as an individual, not only as just a normal human being, but someone who has to manage such a condition, and how we can get from start to finish knowing that you've done that successfully. So it's not all easy. I'm not going to be that person that says to you all that there hasn't been complications when I was training for these races, especially when I got into races such as marathon distance. I have had complications along the way. In total, I have raced 4 marathons, which I'm incredibly proud of. However, I have had episodes where I've been poorly. My sugars have gone lower and I've not been able to control it. I've had times in my life where I've not even eaten correctly, and it's really caught up with me and not done my body good within this. And I think it's really important to start sharing these experiences, as it's really great when we see people in any condition go, yay, I've done this, I've achieved this, aren't I amazing, woohoo. Yes, we are amazing, yes, it's fantastic, but sometimes it's nice to share the real life, because not everyone goes through things in such a perfect way. And I used to be on insulin pens, where I used to have 2 injections a day, or no, actually no, I lie, 2 injections of long-acting insulin a day. So that was my basal. And then I'd have my bolus, which was my Nova Rapid. I'd have that every time I ate. And that was not working very well for me when I started doing endurance sport. So when I went into 2018, when I raced, oh no, not even that. It was 2017, I lie. When I did Athens Marathon, my 3rd marathon, I had my insulin pump. So my insulin pump Penny, which I will get out now, just there, keep her in my pocket or else in my clothing. And this has been an absolute life changer. And I just wanted to maybe talk about how I manage my sport and life around using my pump. So Penny, my insulin pump. Why does she have a name? Because I pretty much like to name everything that I own, but also it makes it more personal to me. Just saying Penny the pump goes quite well. So Penny is actually attached, or the insulin pump, I'll be a bit more technical terms, as a pump to a cannula that's in my stomach, which gives me insulin throughout the day. And also it's very smart. I can basically type in, so if we get it here, I can go into my bolus here. I can type in the amount of carbs I'm going to be having, what my blood glucose is, because my blood glucose machine, it Bluetooths over that result to my pump, which is very smart. I'll then calculate the carbs it has, and that will tell me how much bolus I need to have insulin wise. So it's very, very clever. And then also when I'm doing any activity at all, I can lower my basal, which is my insulin that I get every hour. It's all fast acting insulin with an insulin pump. Which is good, because you're getting constant insulin all the time. No insulin is lasting in your body for too long. And I can reduce that percentage, so it gives me less insulin when I'm doing activity. And the reason for that is because insulin reduces your blood sugars, and so does exercise. So I see diabetes like a little triangle. So you have your food, your insulin, and your exercise. Your food, especially if it's got carbohydrates or sugar in it, increases your blood sugars, and then your insulin and exercise decreases. And a type 1 diabetic's brain is very much like a calculator all the time, trying to work out the exercise they're doing, how much carbs I'm eating, how much insulin I'm needing, how do I get everything right so I can have my blood sugars stay in range throughout the day. Doesn't always happen, and I will not lie, to this day I've still not got it right. They can go low, high, all sorts, but the insulin pump really does help me to stay a lot more in control, especially when I'm doing any type of sport. So it's been a massive life changer for me. So where have we got up to? I've discussed how I was diagnosed very quickly, also then how I got into my running and where I am there. So yes, 4 marathons down the line, and then I discovered cycling, and wow, cycling is definitely my favourite activity to do. I love running so much. I'm a massive runner. I absolutely love getting out there, but cycling is just so much fun, and I have discovered a little bit of a talent for it as well. I get pure joy going out into the countryside, going climbing hills and cycling on my bike, also racing my bike. And when I started getting into cycling, I thought, ooh, triathlon, this could be fun. And I got into swimming as well, and then started to learn how to swim and everything else. So triathlon is where I am to this day. with my cycling activities and races I've done. So I raced the Prudential Ride 100 last summer in 2019, and I loved that race. I was so happy with my time. I came out, I think it was 5 hours and 28 minutes, and that was after having to stay put for 25 minutes because we had to stay, I think it was around Kingston Way, for anyone who knows the race well. So not far from home, too much far from home anyway. And I would have probably just been over 5 hours if not, and that would have been amazing. But I really, really loved racing. And then I have competed in sprint triathlons, Olympic triathlons. I get a real drive for doing them. I just think the whole 3 sports and the whole way of training is just so much fun. And that was when I thought, ooh, so I've ran marathons, I've raced 100-mile bike races, I've done all these triathlons. What's the next challenge I can do? I know, half Ironman. Let's train for that. I started training super hard last September in 2019. And that was doing all the swimming training, the bike training, the running, really trying to build my strength and everything into being able to do this massive race that was going to be this July. So it was going to be July the 3rd in France, a place called Les Sables d'Olonne. And that was going to be Ironman 70.3. And I was so excited. And yeah, because of pandemic and COVID-19, that unfortunately was not meant to be this year. However, it's okay. I will get my half Ironman title in 2021. I might be another year older. I did want to achieve this when I was 30 years of age. However, it's going to have to be now 31, as I turned 31 this July. So it's going to just have to be my 31st dream instead. But again, learning so much about my body, nutrition, how I train, how I manage my diabetes, all this stuff. And all I can tell you is it's a massive journey. You're always learning about your body, different bits about it. As a woman, we have hormones, we have menstrual cycles as well that we all have to factor into our diabetes if we suffer with type 1. And they can all affect your blood sugars. And it's how you also play a part in that. And yeah, just also getting on with day-to-day life. But I would love to share more about my story around how I train, how I live, and everything else. I think hopefully it will show some inspiration, but also help learn be able to educate others out there on how I at least try and get by things, and also everyone else sharing with me, how do you get by things? If you're also a type 1 diabetic, how do you survive? How do you do your activity? It's good to talk and share all the time. And I would love to inspire more younger individuals especially, but also just more people who suffer with the condition, that you can do anything in life. Any dream is possible. Trust me. I have gone for it. I've achieved things I thought I'd never, ever be able to do. I never thought I'd be a decent enough runner, and I managed to run okay. I'm not the most amazingly fast person in the world, but I can run okay. And the same with my cycling. I'm not the fastest cyclist in the world, but I can cycle okay. And I just want to share that, you can completely go for those dreams. I'm going to leave it there for today. I think I've spoken loads and loads and loads, so that's a lot of information to get through. However, I will, as I said, be sharing how I'm getting on with doing training. There's also a really exciting event that I'm taking part with Diabetes UK throughout September. It's called the Coast to Coast event, and I'm an ambassador for it, which I cannot wait to do and help inspire some others that are going to be taking on. It's a cycling event, doing any coast to coast distance throughout the UK. I will be taking on the challenge of the Land's End to John O'Groats distance, which is 918 miles throughout the whole month of September. Obviously not going from Land's End to John O'Groats, which would be an awesome challenge to do, and one day I will 100% do it. But I will be doing those miles, and as an ambassador for the event. I am also a qualified indoor cycling instructor and running coach also. So this is what I also do as a career and lifestyle. So I will be sharing hints and tips to everyone that is taking part. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions or if you want to know anything else about what I've spoken about. I will 100% go through anything else more in detail. But for now, thank you so much for listening and, just for being a part of my story also. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you all again soon and sharing more about how I'm getting on with everything I'm up to.